Frank. We're back in the old spaceship.
Where do you even keep this thing when we're not using it?
Oh, don't worry about that. Just look out the window. Check it out.
Nice of that UFO to give us the stock box.
I wish they weren't so scary when they gave it to us, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
And it's on a massive discount.
Along with everything else we sell, it's Black Friday.
Attention A1 Trading Show fans, if you're interested in getting free access to the Edge Finder or our premium trade alerts, listen up. For a limited time, our show's partnered broker 8cap is giving out free access to our products when you sign up for a new trading account with them. If you already have a broker, you may want to consider switching to 8cap because of their low trading costs, a wide range of trading assets, and their amazing customer support. If you'd like to get access to our software and Discord server for free, click the link being dropped in the chat right now and ask one of our team members for more information. Don't miss your chance for free products and an award-winning broker. Now, back to the A1 Trading Show.
All right. Good morning, guys. Welcome back to another live stream. First up, just wanted to say to everybody who was looking forward to the NVIDIA stream that we had planned to do yesterday, sorry about that. We had a power outage in our building. I think, unfortunately, there was some sort of accident that was real close to us. And when I was driving home, all the street lights were out. So I don't know, maybe it was the accident, maybe it was something else, but it was really unfortunate timing. We had the stream going as NVIDIA earnings started. And sure enough, the power went out, shutting down the stream. So we're back. Power was restored, of course, but I wanted to just give a little bit of a recap on NVIDIA, what it meant to the market yesterday, as well as talk a little bit about what we're about to see here, which is the unemployment claims out of the United States. This has the big potential to move markets, and it's been a busy week. Even though it's been a relatively quiet economic data week, we've had big earnings data. We've had some scares on the Ukraine-Russia situation. There's just no boring days right now in markets. It's really crazy. As we get started here, I just want to ask you to do a big favor to the stream. Let me get my soundboard here. There we go. If you guys could hit the thumbs up button on the stream, it really would just help to support what we're doing here. I wanted to start by taking a look at NVIDIA earnings. Now, NVIDIA earnings were weird, to say the least. On one hand, they were incredible earnings. And on the other hand, you get a good example of why, when companies are valued so highly and the expectations are so high, and everybody, their mother, their brother, their sister, their cousin, their cat, and their dog own NVIDIA and have high expectations for it, it's kind of like, I like to compare it for like a sports team. Like everybody, think of the best sports team in your favorite sports. If you play soccer or you're interested in soccer or football, I don't know any teams. I'm American. So if I'm speaking about, US football, US college football is something that, I'm not a big sports person, but Alabama football is huge. It's the university is just known to be a monster at football. Well, everybody knows they're going to kill most other teams when they play them. That being said, everybody knows that. when you think about when everybody knows something and that is the expectation, that's kind of like NVIDIA. Everybody knows and expects NVIDIA to be an absolute monster stock and and knows that they're going to hit ginormous earnings. Well, they did. Let's take a look at the numbers. Can we break down NVIDIA for a second? Check this out. And I do own the shares, but I picked them up when I felt that they actually started to get a little bit more attractive. Back in August and September, they came down to these levels. I only own 42 shares. It's not a huge position on my account, but I kind of have it for namesake. Anyways, let's take a look at the earnings. So yesterday they reported earnings after the bell, and they reported 81 cents compared to a estimated 74.8%, 74 cents. Revenue was $35 billion in the quarter compared to the forecasted 33.17 billion. That's a substantial beat, right? Well, it wasn't enough. They did beat the numbers, but this is the problem with NVIDIA stock. And there's very little problem with NVIDIA stock. The thing is an absolute freight train to the upside. If you've owned it any time in the last, you could not have messed up a buy entry in the last several years. If you bought NVIDIA anytime, you had a good entry. That's how crazy the stock is. So my point is this. Why did the stock not go up? And don't get it twisted. This is yesterday's trade or performance. This is yesterday's. Sorry, I'm being confusing. Yesterday, NVIDIA's stock price was all over the place. The day before, it was up. But yesterday, it actually came down on the actual earnings report. So this is the earnings candle right here. The thing sold off and bounced pretty immediately because they were good numbers. They just weren't quite the interstellar level numbers that people were expecting secretly. This is crazy. You guys ready for this? This is wild. There's the expected earnings, and then there is what is called the whisper forecast. You ready for this? This is how ludicrous the stock is. And again, I own the stock, so I'm not saying it's just such an incredible grower. There's the estimated earnings, and then there's the whisper. And this is a new term to me. I didn't really understand this until recently. NVIDIA is a good example to learn it on. The whisper is where the analyst community really thinks that they're going to come out. So the estimated earnings and estimated revenue are produced by the company themselves. They estimated their earnings to be a certain way. The whisper is what internally to analysts and to top customers of NVIDIA, what the whisper earnings are actually going to be. Well, they didn't meet the whisper earnings, which I've heard thrown around were about a 10% higher than expected revenue and earnings. So even though the earnings were incredible, they weren't incredible enough. Does that make anybody else a little bit nervous? When we're talking about stocks need to do insane growth in order to not go red, does that make anybody else a little bit nervous about some of these companies? And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not saying I'm bearish. I own shares. But just be careful, right? I'll tell you this much. I like NVIDIA as a company a lot. But I don't like the idea of buying it up here. I bought it when it got tanked in August and added some shares in September. But even then, it felt expensive. And this was an initial position for me. To be very clear, I bought an initial stake in NVIDIA with hopes that it would actually keep going down so I could add a little bit more at better valuations. I didn't get that. I mean, I'm still up on the trade, which is, great. But it just goes to show the kind of market that we're in. Here's a trade that I'm in, SMH. It's actually come back into positive territory, but this thing has just gone back and forth on me quite a bit here. I have a stop below the lows. It's still possible I could take a loss in this one. What is going absolutely insane, though, is Bitcoin again. Go figure. Bitcoin has gone parabolic. and this is currently my best trade of the year. I wish, guys, that I had more trades that look like that. And I say this every time when I pull up a trade like this that has gone absolutely parabolic for me. I had to pay my way into finding this trade. What I mean by that is oftentimes I take a setup and my method of trailing stops looks silly 9 times out of 10. 90% of the time, I exit trades suboptimally. What I mean by that is I enter a trade like this, right? And then I put a stop here. And most of the time, this happens, or this happens, or this happens, or this happens. Great. I trail a stop. Most of the time, this happens, right? Most of the time, I don't exit perfectly. Every once in a while, I catch one of these. So the reason I preface that is because these are not everyday types of trades for me. They are incredibly rare, and I absolutely love when they happen, but they're very infrequent. And I just want to disclose that because a lot of times I lose, 5K on a trade, I lose 6K on a trade, I lose 4K on a trade, and then I catch the $47,000 winner, right? I take a lot of losses. I take a lot of losses in order to catch the occasional monster trade. What it does, and this is probably the least attractive way, least attractive component of my trading, is that my momentum trading style produces very consistent growth in my account. What I mean by that is I might take losers for a while, catch a big winner, losers, a little bit of a winner, losers, big winner, right? And this is inconsistent. It's not every month that I'm up, but over time, that's what my equity chart looks like. And I'm okay with this. I accept this. But what traders want is they want this line, but you don't get that line ever in trading without drawdowns, tough periods of time, etc. Anyways, guys, we're just a few minutes out before we get unemployment claims, which will be important to this market. Labor data is actually quite important right now. And if you're wondering, by the way, did the Edge Finder pick up on Bitcoin? It absolutely did. Bitcoin was getting a bullish rating on the Edge Finder when I took the trade. Let me see. Where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin, where are you? Yeah. So Bitcoin was getting a bullish reading. It didn't close on a +5, but at one point it was a +5 intraday. I took the trade immediately, and that was great timing. It was probably this day right here. Yeah. Joe, please. Goodbye. We had to ban and remove comments from Joe. Yeah. Lee says, Nick, it seems like you get one monster trade in a year. 2023 was S&P, and I think you're in the Dow as well. Lee, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. The monster trades are infrequent as anything. This year, I've had 3 monster trades, which is very awesome. Very much better than usual. The 3 monster trades that I've had this year that have contributed the most gains to my account are gold longs, a NASDAQ/SMH trade. I was in 2 at the same time, same kind of theory. I was basically long NAS/semiconductors. And then recently, the Bitcoin trade. But it's infrequent. It's not every day that I catch these types of trades, and I love when they happen, but I kind of just have to pay my ticket in order to eventually find those trades. So anyways, Bitcoin currently is back to neutral on the Edge Finder, which I think is fair. I'm not looking to buy Bitcoin up in these levels. I think that my entry point is where I was happy with it. That's why I took the trade. But I really don't want to chase Bitcoin, but I also don't want to be taken out of it. So I'll give you this too. Bitcoin is on a runaway train, and I'm probably going to look to trail stops again because this thing won't go on forever. I'm not naive enough to think that when we get to 100K, there will be a fresh question of whether or not it's time to sell and get out of there, right? Or if the party wants to continue on. And if you're asking me, Nick, when it gets to 100K, somebody asked me this yesterday. I said, Nick, are you going to sell at 100K? And that's a fair question. Do you sell your Bitcoin position at 100K? Is that the big play that everybody's going to make? I don't know. I have no idea. Bitcoin could go to 150. Bitcoin could go to 200. Could go to 250 without much of a break. I have no idea. What I do know, what I know to be true for me, and what I am going to do, I am going to manage the trade. Guys, we got news. I apologize for the miss on that. Let's take a look overall. Unemployment claims here. Forecasted to be 220,000. Let's see what the unemployment claims are. All right, 213,000. Slightly better than expected. NAS, SP500, positive on the day. Lower than expected is arguably a positive thing for the dollar. At the same time, we had Philly Fed Manufacturing Index came in light. S&P 500 and NAS are up. I mean, it is just such a bull market out there right now, guys. NVIDIA has gone positive. It is a bull market out there, guys. Look at that. I mean, what do you do in these situations? Well, I'll tell you one thing. FOMO is running rampant in the streets. People who missed Bitcoin, people who missed NAS, people who missed gold popping now too. If you're feeling FOMO right now, first of all, you're not alone or silly for feeling that way. But there is nothing to do. When you're in severe FOMO, when things are just melting or launching, if you're in the trades, for me, what that means is manage it, trail stops, be level-headed. If you're not in the trades, go for a walk, right? I'm telling you what, walks or shutting down my trading console is a great strategy. Because if you're looking at Bitcoin and you're bullish and you don't have a position on it, what are you going to do if you stare at this? You're going to do something stupid. There's nothing for me to do up here. And I am bullish, but all I can do is just say, look, it's not going to go forever. I need a trail stop. I probably need to prune the garden here a little bit, right? So I'll probably trail a stop today on that. NASDAQ's looking wonderful. SMH making a move here this morning. This is a position that I have. It's a semiconductor ETF. It's popping nicely here this morning. My Chinese stocks doing nothing today. Gold's up 0.5%. Silver's up 0.4. Oil's up 1.5. Look at Ethereum. Ethereum's up almost 9%. My goodness. That is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy stuff here happening, guys. Unemployment claims were better than expected. I think that put to rest a little bit of, well, not put to rest, but one of the big concerns right now is that the labor market is going to materially weaken. And we'll see if that happens, but today's data is a good figure. 213,000 unemployment claims coming in lower than forecast is positive for the state of the labor market, right? More people filing for unemployment is bearish for the dollar, concerning about the economy, but a lower number of people than expected filing for unemployment is a positive thing. So let's take a look at the dollar here this morning. Dollar here initially moved higher, giving back a little bit of gains, but really no movement on the dollar. And this could probably be attributed to the idea that unemployment claims came in pretty close to forecast. But the good news, I think, is just not a surprise to the upside. You didn't want to see a big uptick in that, right? Legitimate question. Do you feel more FOMO when you see a huge sell-off or when you see a huge push up? I agree with you. I feel more FOMO when things are going up. When things are going down, psychologically, it just feels different, right? When everything is ripping higher, it is very normal to feel FOMO. That is, I was actually chatting with my dad this morning. We were talking about how Warren Buffett is sitting on a lot of cash. And I think it's important to mention that sometimes patience doesn't feel great in the moment. So if you're, I know not all of us are long-term investors like Warren Buffett, but the principle is the same even if you're a short-term trader, swing trader, position trader, investor. The idea is when you're on the sidelines, it doesn't always feel good when the market keeps going or you're looking for a sell setup or a buy setup and market's just moving off without you. It doesn't really always feel good, but you can accept that it's probably the smarter thing to do is to wait for the proper setup, be more patient, etc. Why do you not trade currencies? I do trade currencies. I just don't trade them nearly as much as other things because currencies, you want to hear my biggest reason why I like gold, oil, silver, NASDAQ, S&P, why I like trading those things better? In recent years, they've trended a lot better than currencies. If you don't believe me, here's the dollar Swiss, right? It's been very ranging for the last few years. Here's the pound US dollar, very ranging. The euro, incredibly ranging, right? Okay, let's do the same study on gold. Gold, incredibly trending. Oil, still a little bit choppy, but still better than some of those currencies. Bitcoin, trendy. If you're a range-bound trader, and I do have some range-bound trading styles, currencies are great for that. Now, the euro's been trending well recently. That's been actually a great trade. There are times where currencies trend really well, but a lot of the times they're very choppy. So as a trend trader, I like to trail stops, momentum. I typically like to trade things that I see more momentum behaviors in. And that changes over time. But recently, in recent years, trading the stock market and commodities have been far more trendy than currencies. So long story short, I don't trade one thing. I trade many things, but I like to trade things that are moving clean with my style. I also understand the fundamental analysis a lot more on the stock market and specifically US data, as opposed to trying to balance two economies at once, right? When you trade the euro and the US, you have to know the intermechanisms of Europe and the intermechanisms of the US. And I would say I do have a decent hold on looking at multiple economies simply with the help of the Edge Finder that is made much easier. But I much prefer just keeping an eye on the US data. So that's why most of the time I trade things that aren't currencies, but I do still trade currencies. I just don't do it nearly as often because I find a lot more clear setups in other things. So, as long as I'm following your streams, I didn't notice you trading in currencies. Yeah, it's a good point. Why are there less live viewers today? It goes up and down. It really depends the news. Like last week, we had a ton of viewers. This week, it's been a lot quieter. Just goes up and down depending on the news cycle. Look at that, man. NASDAQ, S&P, these things are ripping here. finding support, it seems, for the S&P 500 around 58.80, let's call it. Russell, look at the Russell. The Russell looks amazing. I wish I had bought a little more Russell. I don't have any, but I wish I had bought into the Russell at 61.8. Look at how clean. Beautiful. Broken resistance got retested. Buyers came in. The question will now be, can it actually take out those highs? I just want to also mention every trade that I am taking, for those of you who are watching with me live, every trade that I take gets shared inside of our Discord channel. If you're not in our Discord channel already, then let me show you that. And pull this up. If you guys are not already in our Discord channel already, you can see every trade that we're taking. A lot of the regular live stream participants here, myself, Frank, who works in the office here, Chris Pulver, Ivan, all of us share our trades in depth inside of the Discord. For example, the Bitcoin trade that I'm in, I've been swing trading this one. I will say this: if you are somebody who is a busy person, but likes to swing trade or short-term swing trade, even kind of day trade, the group might be perfect for you. Especially if you're somebody who works and is able to, keep an eye on the market, but doesn't have all day to stare at them. If that is you, the group is perfect for you. What we do is we share every trade that we're taking in full explanations, full breakdowns, entry points, exit points, why I'm taking the trade, what's changed about the trade. If you're looking to learn this stuff and you're a busy person, like myself, by the way, we're all busy, right? You can learn a lot of stuff by yourself without paying for anything. And I totally respect that. But if you're somebody who is busy, would like to learn, would like to see the trades being taken by some professional traders, I'd encourage you to join our group. The reason I say that is because not only is it worth the money, but it's especially worth the money right now because it is currently 45% off for those watching the stream right now. We're doing a Black Friday sale, and we just kicked it off. Our Black Friday sale is running until the end of next week. So we've only got a little bit of time left on this Black Friday sale. If you'd like to join us, let me give you a couple quick facts. I mentioned entries, exits, analysis, screenshots, every trade that we're taking, full breakdown, full transparency. If you'd like that sent to your phone and to your desktop every day, you can check it during your lunch break. You can check it before or after work, whatever works for you. It's up to you how you choose to use it. If that is a service that would be beneficial to you, the other thing I'll throw at you is that it's a one-time price to join. With the 45% off discount, it is one time to join VIP. It is not a monthly thing. We won't charge you monthly. We don't take your card and charge you every month. We don't do any of that. It's a one-time payment. You get to join the group, and we've had people in here for years who have paid a couple $100. They're in the group for life. And I've had conversations with people ongoing for years within the group. So come join us. I'm telling you, it is the best time of year to do so. It is 45% off. And we have a support team, a wonderful support team behind the scenes that makes this all possible. And they're standing by to get you that 45% off offer. If you send us a direct message using this link, again, it is a very worthy investment. If you come join us, you're going to learn a ton. You'll be able to see the trades that we're taking. You join coaching calls. You can ask us questions. You can jump in the live chat. It is worth the money. I'm telling you, don't miss it. 45% off. That will be ending soon. How can I join the VIP? Again, just shoot us a DM. Someone from our support team will help you out. B. Pole says, I'm a mom of 2 here, and this is my lifetime investment. That's awesome. Again, we have moms in the chat. We have people working in the chat. We have people from Europe, people from Asia, Africa, North America, South. We got people from all over the place. I'm telling you what, no nonsense. Is this a sales pitch? Absolutely it is. But I'm telling you, the value you're going to get out of joining this group is absolutely worth every penny. No scalping in the group. Correct. We don't scalp. We swing trade. We do what we genuinely have found profitability in the markets doing. And the best part about being more on the swing trade side of things is that, number one, your heart rate, your average heart rate probably goes down. But number two, it doesn't take you all day to stay active. I just want to also mention, guys, I only trade for like an hour a day. And I don't need any more time than that to execute and make great gains in the market, right? Over the years. Now, there are times where I lose money. There's weeks, months, even a year will go by where I am negative P&L. It happens to traders, but that's the realistic side of things. I'm absolutely not here to sell you a dream or to tell you something that otherwise. Trading is really difficult, but if you are looking to learn, it's the great place to be. Do you have any many Canadians in the group? Yes, Laura, we do. We absolutely do. We have Canadians, we have people from the UK, we have people from the US. It is a very international group that we have, which is absolutely fantastic. And I like to think that I have friends all over the earth at this point, which is one of the coolest things ever. Speaking of which, I got a friend joining the call here in just a second. We got Miko coming in for Technical Thursdays, and Marco. They're both here. I just saw both of them are popped into the stream, ready to go, guys. We're going to do a quick break here, and then Technical Thursdays starts right now with Miko and Marco. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This was our best year yet at A1 Trading. In 2024, we brought the incredible Chris Pulver in and gave you guys access to all of his trades and analysis through Pulver Alerts. We also introduced our newest market scanner, the Stock Box, whose AI algorithm is scanning each and every day to provide you with bullish or bearish biases on the top stocks and stock sectors from around the world. Not only that, but the Stock Box gives you a behind-the-scene look at what the largest hedge funds in the world are buying and selling through the 13F scanner, so you can keep up with what people like Warren Buffett or Steve Cohen are adding to their portfolio. The best part of all, both of these products are on sale now for a massive 40% off during our Black Friday sale event. The Stock Box, the Edge Finder, Pulver Alerts, and the VIP Discord community, as well as our Trading View indicators, are all on sale for 40% off. This is the absolute best discount of the year, hands down. So if you want to take your trading to the next level, don't miss out on the 40% off Black Friday sale event. You can find out more with the link being dropped in the chat now. Again, 40% won't last forever, so take advantage of this huge sale. Stock Box, Edge Finder, Pulver Alerts, VIP Discord community, and Trading View indicators, 40% off right now.
All right, and we are back with Miko and Marco. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Hello. What's up?
Hey, so we have got a lot of stuff going on, but of course, we got to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going crazy, almost near. I can't believe it. We're so close to $100,000 the price of Bitcoin, which seems like a couple months ago seemed like a dream. And now it's happening. I want to start there. I know I usually end on Bitcoin, but with it being so insane here this last few weeks, I want to get you guys' thoughts. So, Marco, maybe we can go you first. What do you think about Bitcoin?
Yeah, so it's looking very interesting at these levels. So if we start with the daily chart, I don't see any signs of weakness, to be honest. So usually the first sign of weakness, at least what I saw in like past price action, is big bearish candles on the daily. So this would be like this candle I think would be the first sign of major weakness. This would definitely be a confirmation, but right now daily chart looks very bullish, very clean, almost at 100K. I do think we're gonna hit it. I mean, we're so close. Is it gonna go further? Not sure. The 1 hour chart is looking pretty healthy as well. I do see a flag setup that I would take on, let's say, a currency pair, and I'm not seeing any signs of weakness. So my bias is very bullish for Bitcoin. I'm not seeing any signs of weakness on the 1 hour or the daily chart. And I think the 100K is pretty much going to happen, very likely to happen. So I don't have any targets in mind because it's Bitcoin. I don't know if you can even set any targets for Bitcoin.
Yeah, and interestingly, just we all have our unique ways of approaching the market, but I've been saying the same thing with Bitcoin too. Like, I have no idea how far it goes. I don't know how to value it. I only know its direction and momentum, which for me is why it is a very ideal candidate for trailing stops. It is one of my best trades this year, and it kind of came out of nowhere because the momentum has been so one directional that I've just been able to trail the stop loss over and over. and again, really came out of nowhere in terms of its price performance. I don't know how far. Same question to you, Miko, but are you different on that front? Do you think that there is a way to sort of, at what points do you say, okay, this thing has run a little hot? Technical analysis tells me maybe it's getting too stretched. It could pull back. Is the 100K level a psychological level of resistance? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I do think in terms of 100K, because it's such a infamous level, Bitcoin would get to 100K. So I think a lot of people, maybe some bigger players, are looking to hold positions to that area, maybe looking to take some profits around there. So I do think in terms of Bitcoin getting to 100K, I think that's pretty likely. It'd be rude not to get all the way to 97, 98K and not get to 100K. So we probably will get there probably by Christmas or even earlier. In terms of where Bitcoin could run, I mean, again, there's no target. You can look to the left and say, okay, I expect price to get there. But what you could do is you could look at, because the log chart is actually pretty helpful, actually. If you look at if I go to the weekly chart and look at the log chart, it kind of does put into perspective some of these big bullish swings. So what you could do is work out like an average of how far these bull runs go, and then you can kind of make an average guess of where this next one could top out potentially. So that could be a way of kind of guessing where really guessing where price could potentially look to have another bearish cycle, another retracement. But it is very rough. Rough estimation of where price could top out. I think the big thing with Bitcoin is just the momentum with it, and right now not really showing much evidence of slowing down. So at the moment, I'm expecting price to maintain this. It's looking very attractive, I have to say. And yeah, I think 100K will be hit pretty soon.
It's really crazy the way you just zoomed way out on that chart. It does sort of look like, as crazy as a move it seems to have been in the last few weeks, it's just a blip in the history of this monster uptrend that we've seen. It's definitely one of the most insane assets or charts, I think, of our lifetime. I mean, Bitcoin has done just some incredible returns in the last decade or so. We'll see if it wants to continue. I kind of in the same page. I think 100K could get hit pretty soon. The big question I think now becomes, is that the point at which you see big money start to move out of it, or is that just a checkpoint before we start getting up into the higher 100,000s? I really don't know. And for me personally, and I think you guys are kind of on the same page, it's just a story of momentum. When the momentum cracks, that's a bigger indicator that maybe you've reached the top than trying to call where that top is going to be. At least that's how I feel. So kind of a crazy story, crazy chart here. Definitely a unexpected, ginormous move towards the end of this year. Next up on the list, I guess, is...
Oh, sorry, so you still haven't trailed the stops from your last trail?
I have trailed it. I had a stop loss here, and then I just recently trailed it here. And I am looking to potentially trail my stop here next. So I'm just going to continue to let this thing go. If it wants to, I don't want it to take me out, but if it does, then that's my cue to go ahead and just lock it in and move past it. I think it's a little bit naive to think it's going to go like this forever, but I also think it's naive to think like it's just simply going to just turn around on a dime and stop. I mean, it might, but that's where the trailing stop comes in. I mean, it's just moving with so much momentum. I think the path of least resistance is higher, but at some point it will change, as it always does, right? Nothing lasts forever in market trend land, but it certainly can last longer than we think. So we'll see.
Yeah. So just psychologically, I think everyone is expecting a reversal on 100K, and that's why I think it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think we're going to reverse at some very strange level, like 143 or something.
I kind of agree. Like you might get, this is just pure guess, but I think once you hit 100K, you probably do see this initial algorithmic response.
Yep.
But then my opinion would be it very quickly passes it. Like, I think it's just going to be a little like a pause, and then we just keep going. Again, pure guessing, because I have no idea. I just know what's going to get me out, which would be a break of structure. So I'm going to trail that stop, lock it in further, and just let the market structure tell me when it's time to get out. I love Bitcoin for that simple concept of it's a risk asset. It just moves with so much momentum up or down, and letting the market tell you when it's time to get out actually seems to work quite well with Bitcoin, comparatively speaking to a lot of other assets. So I don't know. We'll see where that goes. I guess back to our sort of standard rotation. Miko, what do you think about the dollar? Dollar index has been up and away here recently. It looked like it was topping out at 107, has come down a little bit, and then sort of poked back up. Any thoughts technically on the dollar?
Yeah, so it is trading at some heights, and it's effectively trading at like a 2-year range almost. We haven't really been trading above these prices, for a long time, and effectively dollar has just been ranging. So it's either make or break. It's either we're going to respect the high and come right back down, or we're going to break through and maybe start to look at some of these higher prices back in 2022, 2023, when we formed that major top. So with me, with ranges, I'm always expecting price to remain in the range until we break out. So I would be pretty bearish with the dollar at these prices. In terms of looking to anticipate downside, it's always difficult to try and call the top. It looks like price is slowing down. It looks like we're kind of consolidating here on the 4-hour chart. So I think what would be nice in terms of an opportunity would either be if price can just maybe fake one more time and push down, or just break to the downside with some nice momentum, and there might be some nice pullbacks or some pullbacks in Euro USD to get involved with. But in terms of the prices we're at, I wouldn't really want to be a bull, at least from a swing perspective, because of where we're trading. If we can break through that, then of course I can speak about some buys on top. But for now, it does look like we're slowing down. We're hitting a really big level in the higher time frames. So I'm kind of waiting for dollar to make its move, and then hopefully I can find some opportunities afterwards. But at these prices, kind of waiting to see if we can get a bit of a move to the downside.
Yeah, no, it's the dollar has been in a tear to the upside here recently, and I was actually thinking after we hit 107, started coming down a little bit, I thought that we would see a little bit more of a corrective pullback on this ginormous upward trend, but dollar bulls just seem stubborn right now. We'll see what happens with that. Marco, same question to you. Dollar index, what do you think here?
So for the DXY, if I look at the daily chart, it is still looking pretty healthy on the daily chart, in my personal opinion, just by gauging the momentum. Sure, we're seeing some bearish pressure right here, but it's nothing major if I just kind of visually assess it. It's not like big red candles. So for me, the bulls are still in control on the daily chart. On the 1 hour, it's not such a good story, but kind of looks like a pause to me. Doesn't really look like a bearish case, but maybe just a pause between further upside is going to happen. And I would love for this thing to go up, because that means trends on EU, AU, and GU, and currently they are kind of being flat. So if this thing can just go up a little bit and continue with the uptrend, that would be pretty good for me.
Yeah, it's been a well, of some of those pairs that you just mentioned, do you have a favorite current setup? I know we talked dollar index, and I'll come to Miko after this and ask the same question. But of those pairs or any charts that you're watching, what kind of sticks out to you as most pending for a possible setup?
Well, I always love the euro and US dollar, to be honest with you. It's kind of, I would say, my favorite currency pair. And the trends are pretty clean. They're not that rapid, not so volatile as in, let's say, JPY pairs. But none of my dollar pairs are currently setting up. There was a potential start of a downtrend here on the 1 hour chart on the euro and US dollar, and I was definitely looking for sell setups here, but then it kind of fizzled out and did nothing. But yeah, I'm closely watching the euro and US dollar. For me, this current structure on the 1 hour chart is a downtrend, strong downtrend. And then I'm counting this as sort of a pullback, sort of an ascending channel before we possibly continue down. And I could look for sell setups. So that's going to be my game plan. And both the euro US dollar and the Aussie US dollar actually look good to me. Aussie US dollar a bit worse, a bit more corrective to the upside, but yeah.
I was going to say, I know you like the Australian dollar as well, and
I do. Yeah,
we'll see how this. We'll see if the dollar becomes a little bit more decisive. Could give us some nicer, clean moves on some of the currency pairs. So we'll see. Miko, same thing. Are you watching dollar crosses mostly? Are you looking at yen pairs? Are you looking at what's top of mind?
Well, there's not much I'm looking at right now, but I do have a couple of positions on, so I'm kind of just managing them. I do have a position on silver, which I took last week, which is looking okay. We came back into this area here, which was the support and resistance I wanted to long from. Nice bounce. And the funny thing is, I've been looking to actually exit this position and look to short gold, but gold's just been flying, so I haven't really gotten an opportunity to short gold. So the plan is kind of just stay in this until gold maybe looks good to short, then I'll close the trade and open gold. But for now, I'm kind of just managing the trade. It's the upside break even, so I'm just going to see what we can do. And then yesterday I hopped into a CAD yen short, which is looking okay so far. It was at the high, a bit more of an aggressive trade, but I'm pretty bearish on the yen pairs, especially CAD yen in terms of where we're trading, coming back into some major resistance up there. And I'm looking to see maybe if we're going to get a continuation of that big drop we had in July, really aggressive momentum. This to me looks like some type of pullback of that move. And we've had a lot of rejection at that area there. So I have hopped into a trade at that high. And I'm going to manage that one as well, looking to see if we can at least get to this low, and then I'll start to look to trail and hopefully maybe be onto a nice winner. But those are the only two markets I'm looking at. There's nothing else apart from gold, which I said just keep pushing to the upside pretty aggressively. So there's no short for me there. So I'm kind of just keeping one eye. But yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I was going to ask you about gold next. So while you got the chart here, so gold clearly seen a little bit of a bounce back. I'm not looking to short gold per se, but I also have eyed up the price action as looking interesting, right? We had this upward trend that was just relentless, right? It was just up, every single dip got bought pretty aggressively. And then we sort of lost that momentum, at least it seemed like, off of the daily chart. Price has been picking up. I know a little bit of geopolitical headlines have been contributing to that. You've had Ukraine and Russia going at it still, of course. But as we look at it, right, the 50% retracement is being tested right now. Maybe some resistance levels. You mentioned you've got a silver long position that's going well. I thought that was interesting. You're in a silver long position. You're looking also to confirm signs of bearishness as an exit point with gold. I'm curious, expand on your thought there with gold. What gets you bearish on gold here? What are you looking for on that front?
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of the price action already, what I wanted to see from gold to make me bearish was price breaking through the low here. Because in terms of market structure, if market's making higher highs and higher lows, I'm buying. If it's making lower lows and lower highs, I'm looking to sell. So after that big move a couple of weeks ago, or was it last week? A couple of weeks ago, really strong move. That's made me categorically bearish on gold. So I'm looking for a lower high, but it just kept pushing. I've been looking to short from this area, but we broke through that pretty easily. I didn't get an entry signal, which would be a bearish engulfing candle. Some wicks is normally how I enter my trades, but we just kept pushing to the upside. So I don't really have a setup to short gold at the moment. It was looking for the retest of that level, but we've since broken through that. But the original plan coming into the week was, because I had that silver position, which I was long from last week, was I'm getting ready to short gold. I'm currently long on silver. When I do get the opportunity to short gold, probably silver will fall as well because it's positively correlated. So I exit the silver position and then open a short on gold. But if I didn't get the gold short, then I'll just sit in silver and see if that continues going higher, which hasn't really played out too well. Gold's been looking pretty strong, but silver hasn't really seen such a big move this week. It's been kind of sideways. But as long as gold stays bullish, I'll keep holding that silver long trade. But yeah, that's kind of the plan for the week.
Very interesting. Yeah, great breakdown on that. I think it's actually really undervalued. That is looking at silver and gold, right? Everybody loves to stare at gold. Like that is the retail favorite trading asset. However, silver is incredibly interesting too. And actually, I know most Forex brokers make you think that gold moves more on a pip basis. That would be true. But on a percentage basis, silver moves far more. In terms of its average move, this recent sell-off in silver, take a look at this, 14, 15%, and gold, that same pullback period was about 9%. So it is a very volatile metal, and keeping an eye on it, it's actually very interesting. During upswings, like we've seen this past year, silver has actually outperformed. It typically does. So it outperforms on the way up, underperforms on the way down, usually. Not always, but usually. So really important to, I think, keep an eye on both, whether you're technical or fundamental. I think both are important to keep an eye on it. Marco, same question. Metals, silver, gold, whatever you'd like to look at. With gold, do you think, how's the momentum check on that one?
Yeah, so I was expecting further downside after seeing this on the daily chart. There was a big meltdown after the elections, but it seems that we are correcting to the upside pretty heavily, possibly forming a V-reversal print, which would be a bullish pattern. So for me, the bulls are currently winning on the daily chart. They definitely are. On the 1 hour chart, it's gonna be just a nice strong uptrend, pretty clean. I'm gonna have to say. Silver, I think it's gonna be a pretty similar story. Not really. So gold is definitely stronger than silver on the daily chart, while on the 1 hour, it's kind of also the same thing, that gold is much, much stronger. This is looking pretty flat and corrective. So you said something about the geopolitical situation. Has that calmed down a little bit, you think? Because I've seen stocks retrace quite heavily on that.
Well, so as far as the geopolitical stuff, it was basically just the concern about Putin basically issuing a statement in regards to U.S. missiles that were used by Ukraine to shoot into Russian territory. So it was kind of just a freak out moment, and rightfully so. That's, you're messing around with some really scary stuff when you talk about nuclear stuff. So it spooked the markets. The stock market was down briefly off of it, but this is sort of a weird thing about the stock market. It typically shrugs things like that very quickly, because it's weird, because if it becomes very real, like when Russia actually invaded Ukraine, that became very real. It made oil prices not spike, but prolonged spike, right? You had oil prices go absolutely crazy in 2022. That did impact the stock market on a bigger, more sustainable long-term basis. The whole year was really ugly for stocks. But these little like warnings or moments, they're very interesting. They typically cause the stock market to blip lower and then come right back. And you might say, well, then, so you just buy every single time? Well, most times that does work. It's just that every once in a while, when the real thing happens, which is catastrophic, scary, and of course, very sad, bad things in the world, when real stuff starts to happen, that dip becomes a very extended dip that goes and goes and goes and can sell off for a whole year, like we saw in 2022. So typically the market ignores it. They sort of goes back to what it's been paying attention to: the Fed, corporate earnings, Nvidia earnings, things like that. But gold and silver and oil, not so much. I mean, gold is still up off of that uncertainty, and we had a higher inflation print, so by multiple countries. So that should be a theoretically bearish thing for gold, but I think the geopolitical stuff is keeping price high, raised. In fact, just for the fundamentalists out there, one thing I would add to that is inflation for UK, Canada, and US was all an uptick. So we saw inflation go up. That is typically a sign that central banks may not cut rates as much, and that should be bearish for gold. The reason gold is not way higher is because the inflation and reports that were higher. And the reason gold is not much lower is because of the geopolitics. So that's why gold is sort of doing this like slow move up, at least if you want to explain it from the fundamental perspective.
Yeah. But the correction on stocks hasn't quite happened yet, right? You're talking about the latest drop that happened 5 days ago or something.
Yeah, so we can just for fun look at it. This was right around that time. You had, and I got to say, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but one thing that drives me crazy is, why does geopolitical stuff always happened to like move the markets the most right at the 9:30 a.m. open for the US stock market. That is so bizarre to me. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but sometimes I really wonder that stuff happens like right before the stock market opens up. I'm like, what is this, some big game? You're playing with people's lives here. I don't know. But anyways, we'll see where it all goes. I don't really actually think that it's that sort of thing, but it's probably more just that a lot of orders start hitting the books right around that time. But it does sometimes feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the first thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It probably is, you know, I don't know. Look, wow. Ethereum's up 9.6%.
Oh,
Do you guys own in Ethereum? It's actually going crazy today.
Nope. No Ethereum
Yeah.
here.
I wish I did, man. That'd be awesome. Yeah, crazy. Crypto. Oh, and do you guys own any alt? Well, no, I know Miko, you own Ripple, right?
Yeah, yeah. XRP's been doing its thing to be fair, I'm
You're
not
too
gonna lie.
modest. You're too modest. Miko.
nice.
You gotta
Yeah.
brag about this. Are you kidding me? Look at this. This thing's going insane.
Yeah, it's to be fair, it's not quite near its all-time highs yet. I think the all-time high is like $3 if I'm not mistaken. It's about a third of the way there, but yeah, it's doing its thing. I'm not gonna lie.
My goodness.
It's looking good. So yeah, keep it up with Ethereum. Not Ethereum, XRP. Don't come back down.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, I'll talk about it when we get to the all-time highs.
Yeah, right. Don't jinx it too much.
That's true.
Good stuff.
true.
Well, guys, that's pretty much everything I had for us today. We've got our next show starting here in just a few minutes. Before I let you go, let me also just give you guys a plug. We just dropped the links to both Miko and Marco's YouTube channel in the live chat. You can also find them directly on YouTube, Marco's Trading Journey or Miko Audu. You can search their names if that's easier, or you can click the link. But do us a big favor here at the A1 Trading Show. This is a team effort. We have contributors from all over the world that make this show what it is. Miko and Marco are regular contributors to what we're doing here for the community. It is all free. We ask in return that you hit the thumbs up button on this stream, but also go support our contributors. Miko and Marco have their own content that they put out. Again, great free value. You can join their Discords. You can join their Telegrams, find them on socials, find them on Twitter, all that good stuff. But just go show them some love as an appreciation for their time and effort here, sharing some wisdom. Guys, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next
See you
week.
next time.
See you guys.
Bye.
Good stuff, man. Let me get some of that Ripple. My goodness, that thing's going crazy. And crypto is just a wild thing. I mentioned this earlier. I have my Bitcoin trade, and I do not know how to call a top on this thing or call a bottom on Bitcoin. I really could not tell you. In fact, leave it to me to pick the worst times to think I'm buying low or think I'm selling high when it comes to Bitcoin. This thing doesn't play by the rules. It almost, when everything seems high, that's like the time it just keeps going. Now, I just want to pause and say I'm absolutely not saying that I think it's absolutely going higher from here. I'm not really in that camp. I am telling you right now, I bought it back here. It seemed to have good momentum at that time. It pulled back. I put a stop on my trade. I knew what I was risking, and the thing went parabolic. And now all I am doing is I'm telling you, I don't know how far Bitcoin goes, but I know what I'm going to do if it does certain things. I do need to trail a stop. I'm going to do that shortly with members after this stream. If the market turns around and breaks market structure, profits taken. And if the market keeps going, puts higher highs, higher lows, the trailing stops continue. Again, what I love about trailing stops is it takes the guesswork and the uncertainty out of the equation for me. And when I'm in a trade, I know what I'm supposed to do. There's not a question of what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to do. And if it reverses, we move on. So, yeah. XRP, is it XRP? People are saying I've got the wrong thing. XRP. Is that not Ripple? Again, I don't know that much about crypto, guys. Bear with me. Is Ripple and XRP two different things? Gosh, I'm a crypto moron. All I know is Bitcoin go up, I bought it. Okay. Just kidding. It's a risk asset. I'm not a big crypto guy. So like, even though I have this trade going on in Bitcoin, I'm not a long-term investor in Bitcoin at this time. I don't have any long-term Bitcoin positioning. I'm trading the momentum. It was a bit of a Trump trade. It was also a bit of a momentum trade, and I'm trailing stops. Ripple is a company's name. Okay. Okay. They're the same. Both are the same. Well, you guys just left me more confused than I started. And to help me with the confusion, maybe I'll pass the stream over to James. Maybe James knows more about this than I do. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. James is going to take over the show. Forex James here, coming on here to continue the A1 Trading Show. It is a daily show on YouTube. And if this is your first time here with us, we've got a rotation of wonderful guests from all over the planet helping us to carry the torch, if you will, on this everyday trading show. I want to ask a favor from you guys. If you could hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, check out our guest. We're going to drop his content in the chat as well, a link for his social media and website. And James has got the show just after this. Actually, last thing I'll say before we cut to a break. Sorry for faking out the editor. Last thing I'll say is, remember, our Black Friday sale is going on right now. If you guys would like to get access to our trade alerts or to the Edge Finder, all of it is 45% off. It is our biggest discount that we do all year long. So I'm going to step off here. If you guys have questions and you'd like to chat with our team, you can get 45% off using the link being dropped in the chat right now or in the description down below of this video. You can get everything in our store 45% off until the end of that Black Friday sale. Do not miss it. It is our lowest price discounts of the entire year. All right, quick break, guys, and then James taking over the show. Stay tuned. Hey guys, I just wanted to jump in for a second and let you know a little bit about today's live stream sponsor, DNA Funded. DNA Funded has very generous profit sharing, up to 90%, and 3 different unique challenge types. For those looking to get funded, they also have speedy payouts, unlimited trading days on the first and second phase of their challenges, a very wide list of different things you can trade with over 800 different assets tradable, and maybe the most important component, a very experienced team behind the whole operation. So if you're interested in learning more about DNA Funded, click the link, check it out, see if it's right for you, and make sure to do your own due diligence to see if what they have to offer fits your trading style. For 10% off, you can use code A1TradingDF10. Again, that will be a 10% discount off of any of their trials you'd like to check out. Thank you again to DNA Funded for sponsoring today's live stream. Now back to the show.
Hello. How's everyone doing? Let me just move that there. So, as for the crypto thing, Dream High has got it right. I definitely didn't just Google it as I came on, but it seems like Ripple is the company, XRP is the crypto that Ripple seems to use. But yeah, that's about as far as I understand it. Crypto isn't my bag. It's I have a very basic knowledge, as Nick said. Bitcoin go up, good stuff. That's about it. So, gold. I think this is on everyone's watch list, as always. I think I've been saying that for the whole year. So essentially, I'm looking to possibly short gold. The problem is it's not really a high probability trade. And the reason I say that is because I don't have much of a reason to go short other than the technical setup right now. You know, you could argue, or I could argue, that the sort of Trump trade is still going on, and there is potential there for Trump to possibly fix some of the issues in terms of the global tensions. But, you know, gold doesn't seem to be reflecting that right now. We're seeing a strong inflow of bulls at the moment, pushing price up quite aggressively. And I'm not going to be the one to tell them they're wrong. I'm not going to stand in the way of that. So we'll see. We'll see how price develops when we, well, over the next couple of hours, I guess. Hi, James. Hope you're well. Can you please look at New Zealand dollar trade? I'm still in, hoping for a break of that 583 level. Well, that's interesting because I'm in New Zealand dollar as well. It's actually just at entry. So let me have a look at your place here. 0.583. So I guess you're short, I assume. But yeah, I think the dollar long trades are still valid. Actually, I forgot to tell you guys, I'm fully out of my euro dollar trades. So I've been showing these off for a little while. I've been holding since I think the 12th of November was like when I initiated the first short. And then I closed out all of these positions today. You can see where I've scaled in and scaled out to re-add in later at different prices and things. You know, I got a few people saying that this is like gambling and this is you know, playing hope and things. That's completely not what it is. The way that this strategy works essentially is you scale in and build up a position full of smaller sized positions. And you can see down here where I've scaled in, not really liked it, scaled out and then re-entered at a higher price. And that sort of mitigates some of the risk you've got there. But of course, this is all trading macro, not technical. So there's no cool entries or anything to show you. It was literally a case of sell any pullbacks you see. So that's that. So I'm out of euro dollar for now, and the reason is because we've seen the dollar slightly slow down. We've seen the momentum start to lose or lose some momentum within the dollar. We've broken below our 200 Bollinger Band, and we are still using this 1.05 level as support. So I've just got a few red flags there in terms of the technicals, so I'm just not super happy with. So ideally, I'd like to see a pullback on the daily, and then I can re-enter some more short positions. But for now, I'm out of euro dollar. Maybe go even lower. I'm looking quite a big move. Yes, I think we'll see quite nice moves in the dollar. It's just a case of breaking this psych level at 107. So you can see we've not broken above this level, or really even tested it since over a year ago, since October 2023. So if we can break this level, it wouldn't be a surprise if we do see quite large bullish moves as we start getting buyers back into this market. But again, you know, if we do reject again, we could then start seeing sellers come in and start putting some pressure on. But in terms of the macros or the fundamentals, I don't really see any convincing reasons to start selling the dollar. Gold's setting sells up. Well, if ball out agrees, then that's good stuff. We often have conflicting ideas, so I'm sure if I go short now, it'll work out. What do you think about US 30 long? I'll have a look in a second. Hi James, do you mind looking at Australian dollar USD? I'm long. I'll have a look in a second. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, we'll have a look at the Dow. Let's see here. Well, daily's clearly trending to the upside, so we'll focus on the H4. Just bounced off our 200 moving average, which is quite nice. We've had, this looks like a 50% correction. Let's see. Almost, slightly over. Pulled into the fib level, which is nice. I quite like it to the upside. I wouldn't be opposed to buying US 30. The problem is not right now. I think if I was going to enter, I would have entered on this candle here. So I've missed the opportunity. But if you're already in a long position on US 30, I think it's great to hold. If you are short on US 30, I would buckle up, because obviously, you know, the overall trend of this market is to the upside. I think you're going to be trying to fight the trend, and it might be a little bit messy. So you're long on the Australian US dollar. That's interesting. Not in this position. So let's see. See, I understand why people are going long, especially technical traders. You know, this is a huge sort of demand zone. I don't know, actually support. I'll just call it support. The issue is that I see is the dollar has so much potential to continue. There is very, very little in terms of economics that really are negative for the dollar at the moment, especially when you're comparing it to other G10 currencies. So I'd be more inclined to either have a long position with a very tight stop and trail it aggressively, or start looking to go short. But the idea that I would have really is waiting for a slightly higher pullback and then start looking to get short, to capitalize on the macros really. But yeah, overall, not really happy with the long position there, to be quite honest. Thoughts on dollar yen, thoughts on DAX. Moving average, I use, this one is a 200. I also use a 200 and a 50 on smaller time frames. So dollar yen, let's have a look. So actually, I was discussing this with some of the members this morning or yesterday. We've been discussing quite a lot about the dollar, and in turn, we were talking about dollar yen, and we were saying that it actually does look like a really, really good buy position. The problem is that we are at risk of intervention. Actually, I think I was discussing this yesterday as well in the stream. So if we look at what's happened with the yen, we've had multiple interventions, and you can see these huge spikes in the yen. Obviously, not every single one, but more than likely, the majority are due to interventions. We've had quite a few recently over the past. When I say recently, I mean that relatively over the past sort of year to 2 years. Anyway, if we look at what's going on with the yen, the intervention that we had previously, or the most recent intervention here, was at the start of July. And that was a catalyst for a lot of things. We had the unwinding of carry trades, market flash crash, blah, blah, blah. It's a bit messy. But the point of the intervention was obviously just to slow down the depreciation of the yen, which they did temporarily. And now look what's happening again. We're starting to depreciate. We're coming back down to pre-intervention levels. So to me, any of the yen pairs, dollar yen, pound yen, euro yen, Australian dollar yen, etc., all very, very risky to trade. So obviously you'd want to go in for a long position on dollar yen. I think that's a given. We've got a weak yen and a very strong dollar. But regardless of your entry, regardless of your stop loss, well, kind of, and regardless of your take profit, all it takes is a couple of seconds for the Bank of Japan, for the Ministry of Finance, the MOF, to take an intervention, and you're stopped out for no reason, just because you wanted to get in on some cool technicals. So I do agree with the idea of a long dollar yen, but practically, I'm not willing to put my money on the line on something that may or may not happen, because it's completely out of your control. There's nothing you can do other than wait, really. Dollar CAD. I actually quite like this to the upside. So again, dollar strength. I'm leaning towards long dollar on almost every asset. So if we're looking at the dollar Canadian, we've broken out of a really strong daily resistance through here. So if we look, every time we've come up to here from, in fact, almost a year ago, 14th of October, we've rejected, and now we've finally broken above. The next stopping point is 1.46. And that's not to say that we can't just drop off a cliff here, but obviously I'm just talking in terms of technical levels. So I'd really be looking for some sort of retest on this previous resistance. So we've got the break, the retest, very typical trading pattern. Possibly have a take profit back at these previous highs. This was last March 2020, a long time ago, and then it was 2016. So it's quite, actually, that's 4 years, 2016, 2020, 4 years. 2024 will be another 4 years. Are we noticing a pattern here, guys? A 4-year cycle. Obviously, we've only got 2 previous data points, but there you go. So maybe in 2024, before the end of the year, we might be able to get up here. We'll see. But yeah, I think long dollar CAD is a good idea for now, unless we get some sort of data to suggest otherwise. Australian dollar, New Zealand. So yeah, that's a bit frustrating actually. I was looking to go long, and I called it on one of my Sunday watch list videos. Unfortunately, I didn't take it. So this was my buying zone here in between these 2 orange lines. And the idea is basically trading off the central bank interest rate divergence between the Australian dollar and, the Australian economy and the New Zealand economy. So the trade to the upside is very easy. This hasn't been, unless you're, just a technical trader, if you pay attention to interest rates and central banks and the fundamentals, this trade would have been quite obvious. But yeah, I don't see any reason for this trade to really stop. I think the first sort of call to action here is the 1.11458 level. And then if we can break that, again, similar to dollar CAD, be looking for the break and a retest to go higher. Thoughts on Russell? I can give you my thoughts on the Russell, but it's not something I trade. I don't really know much about it, to be honest. Oh, wow. Unfortunate. There you go. As I was saying yesterday, though, I do mark up a lot of trades, obviously, through these webinars, through these streams. And I won't take, well, actually, it's very rare that I actually do take one. But now and again, there'll be a really good trade that I've marked up, like the Australian dollar New Zealand that I just had and the Russell. And I'll look back, but maybe I should have taken it. But there you go. What can you do? So, Russell, let's see what's going on here. So it's had a very nice break and retest. Very clean. Let's see here, actually. Fib pullback. So actually, it looks very similar to the Dow Jones or the US 30 in terms of it's had essentially the same setup. So I'd be looking again for a slightly lower price to then take it back to the previous high. Something along these lines. Again, I'm not really accounting for the fundamentals behind the Russell because it's just not something I trade or really pay attention to. But yeah, just off the technicals, this is what I would do. Pound dollar buy. I wouldn't be buying the pound dollar. Let's just have a look here. So look at the pound. This is the index for the pound. Look at the euro, look at the yen, and then look at the dollar. I know it's a little hard to see with my annotations, but you can see it's not even comparable. The strength the dollar has compared to the weakness or the strength of the euro and the pound, it's kind of crazy, really. So unless you've got a very strong thesis for pound dollar to go long, I would more caution towards or more edge towards the short side. Let's see. Yeah, so you've got a very small support level through here, something like this. But then you've still got so many levels where pound dollar could come down to. Just because it's at support now and it might be showing a little bit of consolidation or some ranging, it doesn't mean that, it's not going to go lower. So just keep in mind, the dollar's strong. It's not the best idea to start trying to counter trade it, again, unless you've got some very strong thesis to go along with it. Do you think the US dollar is overextended? Yes, I do. I think it's very, I'm going to use the word overbought. I say that a lot, but it's not really a true meaning, in my opinion. But yeah, it is overextended. And I think we're due some sort of pullback, which is one reason why I closed my euro dollar shorts. However, I don't think we're going to see a change in trend, really. I think we might see some sort of pullback. Again, I'm not sure where, but maybe just to fill the gap. If you check your dollar index market charts, you'll see there's a gap on the election or on the day of the election. We might come down, fill the gap, and then continue to the upside. But we will see. The dollar has a tendency to trend one way after the election and then completely reverse, and normally 2x the size of the initial move. So, for example, if the dollar rises 5%, we could expect a 10% drop afterwards. But obviously, that's not something you should go and start trying to trade. It's more just some a tidbit. Gold or Bitcoin? We've already covered gold, but I can go back and we'll have a quick look. Yeah, it doesn't seem. Yeah, it's not really showing much in terms of an entry. I am really waiting for something to happen in this level. I'd like to go short gold, ideally, but again, it's not a fundamental driven trade, really. This is more just playing technicals, and I might regret that afterwards. But I'm always willing to take a try at least once. So ideally, I'd like to see the H4 candle close bearish and engulf the previous H4 candle. That would be a great entry sign. If I don't really get that, then I'm not interested. I'd like to be very cautious in the gold market right now. If I'm going to try and sell it, bearing in mind it's been a buyer's market all year. So, I'm not going to be someone to try and fight that too heavily. In terms of Bitcoin, I also think Bitcoin's very overextended at the moment, and this is just referring to the Bollinger Bands. I don't really, again, I don't trade crypto. I'm not a crypto guy, so I don't really know all the what do you call it? All the drivers and everything for Bitcoin. I know there's different utilities and all that sort of stuff. It's just not my bag. But yeah, just going from a technical view, I would love to see a pullback here. I'm sure Nick would probably not like that so much, but for me, it would be great. So, ideally a retest of this previous resistance would be amazing. That would also bring us back into the average price. And then we could start heading back to the upside after that. We've also got the daily RSI that is showing overbought as well. So something to keep in mind. I wouldn't go and start buying crypto. I wouldn't start go and buy Bitcoin now. I think it's a bit of a silly place to start buying it. I'd wait for a pullback and then look to buy. Thoughts on DAX? Don't think gold shorts make any sense. Well, there is things behind gold short, and I covered that at the start of my segments. Feel free to rewind. There are small things that could contribute to a gold short. Dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss is an interesting one because we've got a very bearish weekly time frame. The daily is bullish, the H4 is bullish, the H1 isn't really doing anything. And the reason I'm a little bit hesitant is because although we've got dollar strength, we could also see Swiss strength as well, especially if we see things in Russia and Ukraine or the Middle East start to escalate again. So obviously we'll see an inflow into safe havens, which will benefit the Swiss, but will in turn also benefit the dollar. So it's not really a market that I'm interested in, especially right now. So we'll see. I don't think there's really anything here. But yeah, if we're going to talk about technicals, I think I'd more lean towards going long. So I'd wait for a retest of previous structure and a continuation higher. This would come and meet our 200 moving average. It would meet the level of, as I said, previous structure, and then possibly target this previous high up here. So we'd see how that goes, but I don't think I'll be taking that. Euro AUD, that's been on a great run to the downside, actually. I'm a little bit sad I'm not in this. So this is a position that Morgan Stanley is in. And I was in the same position, actually. I think I entered somewhere around here. It was very, very similar because I followed their trade. But I closed out very quickly when I started scaling into my euro dollar shorts. I didn't want to be too exposed to the euro, especially on one side. So yeah, closed it. And now it's looking like a bit of a mistake. So with the euro Australian, I'm not really a huge Australian dollar fan, to be honest, especially right now. I don't think the economics are too supportive. But if we look at the Australian dollar compared to the euro, I think there's a very clear winner, and the markets are reflecting that. The euro is just not appealing at all to investors. There's no real grounds to stop buying the euro. So there you go. I mean, that's my brief thoughts on the dollar and the euro. I guess that's basically all we've discussed this segment. There's nothing really on my watch list. I'm in copper, but I'm a little bit trapped in copper, to be quite honest with you. Let me see. Is this going to work? I have problems with my MetaTrader showing for some reason. It's a bit. If anyone's got a Mac and they use MetaTrader 5, you'll probably know the pain. But yeah, it's just not working. But anyway, I'm trapped in a copper short. I'm going to be honest, I made a little bit of a rookie mistake with copper. So what I did was I used a 0.05 lot size because There we go. Should be better. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened there. My monitor unplugged and my audio went proper catastrophe. So yeah, anyway, as I was saying, I trapped in a copper short with the completely wrong lot size, and it ended up being way too big for my account size. But luckily, it's not going to destroy the account or anything. It's just slightly over what I would like. So I'm just waiting for that one to come back down. I'm still bearish on copper temporarily, at least until I get out of my position. But yeah, so other than New Zealand dollar and copper, my portfolio is completely flat. I think. Okay, never mind. I was going to try and show it, but it's still not working. But there you go. That's what it is. He's in a loss and at a loss. Yeah, that's true. No, I managed to come back quite nicely this month, actually. I had a bit of a losing period. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to say it was a losing period. It was a short time where I was scaling out of my euro-dollar positions to obviously scale back in, which obviously brought down my P&L, or overall P&L. So it looks pretty bad. And then obviously I've closed out of the majority of my positions, but still slightly in a loss for this month due to some other positions that didn't work out. But there you go. S&P 500. I can get rid of that, actually. That was there for a video. So S&P 500. I think I'd be most inclined to buy. So I never sell the indices, and I say this almost every stream. Professor E, I've seen you type oil a couple of times, and I completely didn't register it. I'm sorry. I'll go back to oil. So yeah, I don't sell the indices. It's regardless. It could be the NASDAQ, the S&P, Russell, whatever else it might be. Don't short it, just because if we look at the weekly time frame, if you were trying to short every time here, you'd have been eaten alive almost every time. I mean, there are obviously periods where it would have worked out very well, but generally speaking, it wouldn't be too great. Where if you were buying all of these dips, you'd be up massively. So the only time I will ever consider shorting the S&P or the NASDAQ, whatever, is if we have something like COVID, or we have some sort of real disaster that is almost, guaranteed to bring the price down. Otherwise, I will stay away. So if I was looking to buy, let's see. It's actually, again, it's very similar to the Russell and the US 30, I think it was. We've got exactly the same setup. We've just tapped into our 200 moving average. We've tapped into our fib, showing rejection to the upside. So I wouldn't be upset really at buying here. I saw Wells Fargo has actually updated that target. So Wells Fargo is now looking at 6,500 for the end of the year, or for, I think it was the end of the year, but that seems really high actually, but it's possible, I guess. So that's something to keep in mind. 6,500, maybe a long-term target. Sean Gibson, we've already gone over Australian dollar, New Zealand. Essentially, I favor the long side. I don't see any fundamental reason to go short Australian, New Zealand right now. So let's go to oil, because I've ignored Professor's request a couple of times. So oil, I would more lean towards a bullish oil, and I have been bearish for quite some time, actually. I've not taken any trades on oil, really, anything substantial anyway. So I would suggest that oil could start being a long position. The issue is I've seen talks of a $60 and a $50 target, but is that realistic? I don't know. We've also got, obviously, Trump. We've got tensions in the Middle East. So again, if these tensions escalate, we could start seeing oil increase in value, as we see, obviously, an increase in demand with supply chain fears. So yeah, let's see. Where would you really want to go with oil? I think, hypothetically, if we entered now, you would need a stop around here. And the reason is because we've got all of these lows that have slightly broken support but failed to hold. And we need to allow the market just to breathe. if it wants to retest one of those lows, and then maybe a take profit back at sort of the previous high around here. But that's a very weak trade idea. I wouldn't, please don't go and start actually placing this trade. Sure, no problem at all. That's what I'm here for. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else on my mind. Actually, let me try and show you something. Give me 1 minute. Let me just pull something up. Here. Yes, here we go. Let me get rid of this screen. So I've been testing a new strategy. It's not a strategy I would ever, it's not a strategy I would really trade live as it is. So it's like in development, I guess you could say. It's a mean reversion strategy. So as you know, I've been using these Bollinger Bands just to sort of get a gauge on the markets. So what I did essentially was go and back test. And this is very small. I've only just started it. I think it was actually this morning or last night. And essentially what the idea of this is a martingale strategy. I'm probably going to make a video on this because it's interesting, but it's high risk. So, as I tell you, just listen to this sort of disclaimer. Please don't go and do this because it's very high risk and it's very stupid. I just did it because it was interesting. So essentially, if we look at what a Bollinger Band is, it gives you the average price of this asset over the past 200 days. And this is a 200 Bollinger Band. That's why it's 200 days. And typically when we see the market hit the top or the bottom, we will see a rejection, whether it's a small rejection or a large one. It doesn't really matter too much, but generally we will see a reversion when we hit the bottom or the top. So my idea was we essentially buy low, sell high. So for example, if I was in this market, I'd place a 0.01 here. As we broke lower, I'd place a 0.02, then a 0.04, and I keep doubling down until it ends up in profit. So that's the idea. And I hate to say it, it works really, really well. But again, I'm not saying you go and do this because it will blow your account after time. Mean reversion with a martingale strategy, it's extremely dangerous. But yeah, just thought I'd tell you about that. EJ, thoughts on the EJ just comes to the stream. Lavar, good stuff. So euro yen, as we were saying earlier, the euro is very, very weak. So it's not something I'm super keen on buying. I mean, you can see here, it's just, not, I don't know why I've got that there. Oh, take profit, there you go. Anyway, yeah, the euro is very weak. It's not something I would ever consider buying. It's not something I would consider buying now, at least. The other major issue is I suspect we're heading into an MOF intervention for the yen. Now, you can't time them. It's very difficult to try and trade around them because they can be very, very sharp and very, very quick. So it's not something really you can say, I'm going to, put a wider stop loss for just in case we get an intervention because you don't know how big it's going to be. So it's just playing on my mind a little bit. I'm not ever, I keep saying ever, I'm not going to place a trade on any of the yen pairs until we have the next intervention. So if we look at pound dollar, this is sort of a good reference point actually. When we were, so before we had this unwinding move here, we had what were called sort of danger zones on the dollar yen. And this was danger zones for interventions on the yen. So at first it was 150, then it was 155, then it was 160, then it was 165. And they were the levels where we were getting told, and when I say we were getting told, it was in bank reports and research papers and things. It was like, don't start buying at this level, or we're now at risk of intervention, or blah, blah, blah. And eventually we got a very serious one after a couple of minor ones. And now we're heading back into that same zone. So essentially the point of the intervention did its job temporarily, and now we're back to where we were. So of course we're looking at another intervention. And again, I don't know when it could, we could be sat here in 3 months' time and it's still not happened, and I'll look like a bit of an idiot. But again, I'm just playing it safe rather than putting money on the line that's a bit needless. Mean reversion is normally suited to shorter time frames, needs to be balanced with some way to assess volatility / volume. Sean, that's interesting. I'll have a look. Mean reversion is never something I've looked into. It was one of those things where I was sat looking at these Bollinger Bands, and I was like, you know what? If I just sold here, I would have made a lot of money. And then I started to have a look at the others, and I went and back tested it. But yeah, mean reversion, it's not something. I'll talk about it a lot, but it's not something I've ever really looked into actually trading. So thanks for the input. I'll definitely take a look. But yeah, anyway, guys, is there any final questions before I head off? It makes sense statistically, but needs a balance. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Okay. So just to recap, I'm in short dollar New Zealand and New Zealand dollar, and I'm short copper. Don't short copper. So stuck in copper, unfortunately. Why is the sky blue? Not a clue. I know that it reflects the water, or water reflects the sky, or something. I don't know. I wasn't very academic in school, which is why I'm now just a bummy retail trader. Anyway, right, guys, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you all coming. Have a good day. I'm not on tomorrow, so have a good weekend as well. Stay safe. I'll see you very soon.
Attention! The Black Friday sale is happening now. You can get 40% off everything on a1trading.com, including the brand new stock box, pulver alerts, the Edge Finder, and more. Thanks for watching today's A1 Trading Show. Make sure to subscribe and to leave a like down below if you enjoyed. If you'd like to join the show, you can become a guest with the link in the description below. That's all for today, traders. We're heading for the moon.